ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the game in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. The Terran player from NSHOseo, it is Salvation. He's going to be facing off against his opponent in the top right. Zerg player in the red from Team Acer kicking things off here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Paranoid.
So I'm actually really excited to be casting this match. It's going to be pretty darn good in general, but I was looking at stats from these players, and they have so little games actually recorded on TLPD that I couldn't really get a full idea of what exactly their styles are going to be like and what they're really good against. So it's kind of like opening a book and kind of reading how these players are.
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. You go onto, the Team Liquid profiles, and you try to look these guys up. A lot of the players, here's the thing. Team Liquid, they only really will hold profile pages on they put it under a section called Notable. I mean, if you look at NSHOseo, they only have 4 players, maybe 5 that are under the notable category, when in reality, as I was saying, man, it's only their Terran and Protoss players, but you take a look, I'm telling you, Ellen Key, a really strong Zerg player who has delivered in team leagues, and yet very little results on that, or notes on that player.
I actually think Ellen Key's, the one that doesn't have actually even a Liquid page.
Really?
Himself. Oh, yeah, there's 3 of them that I remember, and then
Ellen Key's good, man.
Yeah,
and good Zerg player. Wouldn't be surprised to see him brought out today. Paranoid is going to be opening up here with the 15 hatch and a 2 racks from Salvation.
Yeah, early one as well. I believe it was 11-12 racks actually, so going to be putting on a lot of aggression.
You are correct, sir. That was an 11-12.
Going to be putting aggression on his opponent here, a little bit on the opening side. It's not an 11-11. You're able to squeeze out a couple more SCVs, but still very heavy in terms of putting damage on your opponent if they open up with a 15 hatchery. Now, it's depending on what we're going to see from Paranoid, and looks like he's going to be falling up into a 15 pool. So he actually should be okay as long as he prevents a bunker from coming up. It's super important here to pull about 8 drones down to your natural and try and either A, get on top of that bunker and get it canceled, or B, chase back the Marines.
All right, so Paranoid's Overlord here has come in through the top, and he's managed to see this bunker. Tim, you're telling us, of course, how Paranoid has to hold it. His spawning pool was not exceptionally late. He actually got it nice and quick, no gas first or anything. I believe, I think it was a 16 pool. We'll know when it wraps up here. 17 pool finishes at the exact same time. 16 pool finishes a little bit earlier, but we've already got the bunker going down here for Salvation. This is going to be the start of what could potentially get pretty nasty.
Yeah, his drone pool is a little bit on the late side here. The Marines should be able to tuck on in. And actually, Salvation's doing a really good job of making this SCV just be away from the bunker. And here we go, going to be having a little bit of micro happening from Paranoid. Doing a pretty decent job. Does he get the SCV? He need to kill the SCV? He's got him on hold position. Okay, there we go. Now getting on top of the SCV and killing it off.
Wow, that bunker at 39 out of 40. SCV is going to make it back and be able to finish that bunker. That'll make this one a little bit easier. I like that he started this bunker up before the creep spread too much, but he does need to keep this SCV alive. Are there any more coming? Not quite yet. Probably from the main. No, that's just another 2 Marines, actually. So that bunker gets canceled. Just going to be this one that's a factor here for NSHOseo's Salvation.
Alrighty, so behind all this, we should be seeing commands there from Salvation if he wants to follow up. I don't think he can straight up kill Paranoid unless he makes a huge mistake here. And for the most part, he's keeping his links back, waiting for a few more to pop out. Wants to get the Queen in this engagement as well. She actually does a lot of damage and allows for you to engage a little bit easier with your Zerglings. So we do have Queens on the way, 8 more about to be popped up, and a few popping at the same time. Can he get us around? It's going to be very close. He does catch 2 of the Marines. We'll catch a couple more on the top right side and get us around on top of that bunker as well. There are no SMVs here to repair, so eventually Paranoid can break Salvation if he does it correctly. Yeah,
that was really important, though, for Paranoid. He managed to kill a lot of those Marines. If instead those Marines had been able, to get into this pocket here or get behind the bunker, that honestly could have just been game for Paranoid, because those Lings would have been utterly, they would just die and kill nothing. But behind this, guys, we've got Salvation, by the way, going for a command center. He's also finished his supply depot wall off. We'll wait for these refineries, which should hit here in a minute or two. He's going to abandon the bunker and likely salvage that up in here in a minute, but he's just forcing some additional Zerglings out of Paranoid. He's like, you don't know that I left, because if you take a look at Paranoid's vision, I mean, you actually can't see this bunker.
And Salvation's doing the common strategy behind this, going for the 3rd command center.
Oh, man.
He delayed it a little bit. What are you all minding about?
Well, like Paranoid.
Yeah.
I mean, he's building spine crawlers. He feels like he's up against a heavy siege here, but the reality is that these Marines are long gone. And he's finishing his spine. He's got the additional Lings that just popped up. He's like gearing a big attack, ready to attack this bunker.
Yeah, unfortunately for Paranoid, actually, I'm going to go ahead and get a pulse around on this bunker.
See
and
if it finishes
is
the
it going to be salvaged? Just in time, he does. So what happened there is Salvation kept his Marines in a presence between that main and natural. so the Overlords couldn't float over to that cliff above so he could see when the Marines did disappear. He had to keep them above his main at the little crevice at that little point in the top right corner. Here we go. He had 3 sitting there because he had to pull them all back because there was a chance they would get sniped. So from doing all that, Salvation prevented him from seeing that and actually got a score. The Spine Crawler started up as well as the extra Queens and the delayed Ling attack. So that allowed for that 3rd command center to go up.
Ooh, but did he manage to cancel the Spine?
He did, last second. But again, that was just Paranoid had to play really defensive because he thought something was coming.
All right, so Lings are out on the map. They're going to try to do what they can, which is going to be, well, nothing at all. Maybe see a couple barracks. They'll be useful scouting tools. And one suiciding himself for the no purpose whatsoever. 3rd command center is completed now for Salvation. He's going to throw down a couple of factories, actually. Looks like maybe going for mech here. Also possible would be a mass Blue Flame Hellion strategy, especially with the quick tech lab here. Let's see. He's got 1, 2 gases. Yeah, it's definitely possible, man. I mean, it's definitely going to be a lot of Hellions here to start, because here's the thing. 2 gases, he's mining 200 gas a minute. That means your tanks are 125 gas. And take a look at the production time, 45 seconds. You will literally consume every single piece of gas if you're churning tanks out of these.
Yeah.
And you won't have any money even to afford the tech labs or anything of that nature. So I expect 1 tech lab, maybe a reactor here, and then lots of Hellions and Blue Flame research.
I would like the Hellion play as well. There is the other option for Salvation at the same time to go into 3rd and 4th gas and move into mech. And it's because he went for that 3rd command center. He's going to wait for his economy to actually start booming, and behind that, you get the infrastructure to allow for that boon to be rewarded upon. You get factory, you'll be able to start pumping out a lot of siege tanks. So there's the other option, but I do agree with you. The first option is a good idea for Salvation. You want to keep pressure on a Zerg that's been in a defensive position for a while, and it looks like you're right. He's going for the Blue Flame Hellion.
We've got 1-1 on the way for Paranoid on the other side of things, and I mean, anybody who has ever played Zerg versus Terran knows that Lings don't stack up too well versus lots of Blue Flame Hellions, but it's not going to be the end of the world here. You know, you get out a couple of roaches. You can actually deal with this pretty effectively with Banelings. We've seen the Karn build, which is Mass Blue Flame Hellion and Thor. Actually, one of the best ways to counter that build is just with tons of Banelings with speed. But for now, he's going to have to rely on his creep spread, because of course, you know, Hellions cannot engage too cost-effectively on creep, regardless of whether you have Blue Flame Hellion or not.
Man, I like where Salvation's going with this. So he's going to open up a Blue Flame Hellion. He's going to have a lot of Marines in the field. Look at that. He's even showing all the Marines here with that Overlord. Overlord spotted him. So immediately Salvation thinks, okay, I'm fine. I don't have to move into a Roach Warren. I need to go ahead and cut any corners I can to move into Lair Tech.
More gases because he didn't see combat shields.
Exactly. So the way Salvation's playing this is really smart. He's going to have the availability here to have a few Hellions run in the 3rd, but I think his real goal here is to have some Hellions run straight into the Natural and burn away a lot of the drones. And then he follows up into getting his 3rd and just falls straight up into mech play, starts putting out siege tanks, of course keeping up the Hellion plays, and then get starport afterwards.
Oh, beautiful read here on the 3rd base though, and Paranoid will force the lift on that. And this barracks, this is of course going to waste some of the APM that Salvation has, which is quite a lot, mind you.
And the Hellions are shown.
All right, so Paranoid behind this. There's the Roach Warren going down. And, you know, a little actually late there. He did get to see the Blue Flame over here at the Zelnaga Tower, but it was pretty tough. He was busy countering at that 3rd base. Nice creep spread, though. May be able to save him here with just the Zerglings for now. I
wonder if Acer Zergs have started saying, okay, guys, if you ever see a Hellion, just build a Roach Warren. We've seen so many Zergs from the Acer side always getting destroyed by Hellions, especially Blue Flame Scarlet. Of course, at DICE, NSHOseo take some shots as well. And the tournament happened the other day. And so Paranoid immediately, as soon as he saw those Hellions, he just went straight into Roaches. So
but he's
good
anticipating this counterattack right now. And there's going to be a little bit of dual action going on here. Some Hellions are coming up, waiting to do what they can. Meanwhile, Zerglings countering here. The Hellions will continue to kite. They're going to be able to do that pretty effectively. The multitasking of NSHOseo Salvation is somewhat limited right now, as Hellions are actually getting picked off here to those Zerglings. That definitely shouldn't be happening. Command Center's been lifted. Marines reinforcing over here. Nice Banelink contact there for Paranoid.
Yeah, certainly. Had those Marines survived, this Zerg would be in a lot of trouble and a majority of drones being killed off. But Paranoid getting a nice hit there. We'll clean it all up as well. Has forced a liftoff, killed off a nice amount of SUVs as well down at that 3rd. So effectively, he's made Salvation to sit on 2 bases for a little bit. And he was switching into mech as well, which means he doesn't have a lot of firepower to really follow up with anything. He kind of had to sit at home, play defensive for a while, get some siege tanks out. And I don't even think he started siege mode yet, because he's actually moved straight into Thors already.
This is not Heart of the Swarm. You do need to make your way to researching siege at some point. He's really working on those upgrades and making sure he's safe versus any mutaplay, because at this point, the only thing that Salvation has actually seen is Zerglings and Banelings.
Yeah.
And, you know, a thing that will often accompany this is Mutalisks. So he's being really safe against it. Now, I think the 1-1 finished early enough with how far +2 carrot base is progressed that Salvation knows this is here, but there are a lot of banelings right now morphing in. Salvation's gearing up for a big attack, and with no siege tanks on the field, this could be incredibly effective.
Yeah, this is going to be really bad for Salvation. So here we go, Lings running straight on in, and that Thor could get surrounded by the Lings. Gonna go straight for the Hellions. Nice play there. That's the real damage dealers here. The Thors is seriously child's play. Once the Hellions are killed off. And with that, Balian's trying to land on a couple of mules will not be happening. And it, for the most part, kind of cost effective.
Crashes
the
main
kill that command center. Would be great. How many workers did he kill as well overall?
Not that many, actually. I mean, he's killed 19
earlier with like
throughout
14.
the course of the game, but remember, a couple were with that 2 racks opening. He's killed some with some counterattacks. I think there he got about 4 or 5 and 2 mules.
Yeah, so
actually 2 mules survived, so he only got 1 mule.
I like the attack though. It allowed him to get the 4th and the 5th up outside, because Salvation, going for back, you need to get that 3rd down. It's really important for you, especially when you're going for double upgrades. And so, unfortunately for Salvation, Paranoid knew that, was able to sneak some Lings by and get some more damage done, and also force Lift, kill off a Thor, as well as get rid of the majority of the Hellions, which prevents a lot of counterattacks from happening.
All right, Paranoid really macroing up, trying to maintain map control and be able to continue spreading his creep, which he's done a fantastic job of, by the way, Robin, here. I mean, he's got this high ground held right now pretty comprehensively.
That Acer creep, man.
Yeah.
They all do it so well now. I've just been working on it. It's going to happen if you're on a Zerg team and trying to get a mess around these Hellions. A good control, though, from Salvation, but the flank from behind, Paranoid will be taking all the Hellions out.
All right, so a nice little victory there. Both players at 112 supply, but Paranoid with a lot of expansions. He's got this one over here on the left-hand side at his 4th. He's also secured this 5th, though the Banshee is taking some pot shots at that. That's going to be a long time in the killing, however. We'll see if he can manage to hold on to that. Spore Crawlers, of course, at all his other bases, and Infestors now popping out for our Acer Zerg player.
Paranoid's just been doing a really good job at his moving up in tech, even with the aggression happening. Oh, look at him. He's already at 3-3, moving into the Ultralist upgrade as well to get the extra armor, moving into Adrenal Glands, just moving up the tech tree. And it's essentially the supply, even though it looks normal now, within the next 40 to 50 seconds, it's going to start exploding. He's going to be able to pop out so many units. He has 77 drones on the field, which actually may be a little bit too much. Would probably want to stay around like 75, maybe a little bit lower. But still, with the 5th base up in the bottom right corner, he should get a macro hatch up one more at least. I know he has one in the main, and he can just pump Ling after Ling after Ling after he kills off with the Ultralist.
Yes, he can. Blue Flame Hellion right now getting the information for Salvation, though, and I'm wondering if he's going to pull back from this attack after seeing all these Infestors. No, he's going to continue with it. At 150 supply with 5 Siege Tanks, 1 Thor, several Hellions, and 2 Banshees. Paranoid's going to try, Salvation's going to try to get a lot done with this attack. A counterattack, though, at the 3rd base. There's nothing here. Okay, there's a couple units actually up towards the top that will be able to deal with this, in fact. And Hellions coming forward now, poking, doing what damage they can, but, well, Robin, you know, Paranoid seems to have things pretty well on lockdown right now at his 3rd, and Salvation is holding off the counterattacks. Yeah, I feel like these guys they just can't do damage to each other.
Yeah, and the thing is, as time progresses, I feel like Salvation's actually going to get a little bit on the stronger side. Paranoid will have the advantage of being able to land some fungals and get some nice rounds, as well as sprinkle a couple of roaches in there, but he's going for mostly a Ling Ultralist composition, and the Hellion numbers are actually starting to grow a little bit here, especially coupled with Siege Tank. Adding a siege mode volley on top of a human out of the Lings when they do come in, and Salvation can potentially just kill them off in a straight up fight. The question is how much will be left over so we can follow up with a counter attack. Well,
the one thing that I got to agree with you, Tim, because we're not seeing a lot of queens out of Paranoid. You know, this is something that Losira has been using to fantastic effect, but he accompanies it with lots and lots of queens. If we take a look at the queen count right now for Paranoid, there's only 4. And ideally what you want with this strategy is, you know, tons of queens. You then move out on the map. You have your great creep spread, which actually Salvation's doing a great job of cleaning up right now. And as you move across the map, your ultras engage, then you fall back with them, you mass transfuse them really quick, get them back up to full health, and then re-engage. Start the whole thing over again. But Hellion's getting caught right now. A lot of Lings going down for Paranoid, but still 170 supply, and it looks like he wants to try to deny this 3rd. The forces of Salvation are pretty split up. He's not actually here at all. The Lings got to funnel their way in through this bottleneck, but once they get in, yeah, Salvation's got to retreat.
Well, I like the sensitivity there for Salvation. It builds just a little bit more time there because the Lings are just really dumb AI. You have to really micro that to get through that little area. And with that, it allows Salvation to actually get here in time and defend a little voice of this unit, or a little bit of this force here. But behind it, Paranoids could come up to this top left corner and get some aggression down if you wanted to. But, ooh, look at this. 3 Banshees sneak their way straight to that hat tree, and they will be pelting away on it.
All right, two Ultralisks are going to be left to deal with that mech force while the rest of the army comes over to the planetary. Ultra should make their way over here as quickly as possible. Not really taking any detours. Banshees have cleaned up this expansion, by the way, and Banshees will now be rejoining with the rest of this army, but a nice fungal growth is going to trap at least 2 of them. Infestors going down. The planetary will crash as infested Terrans and Ultralisk just proved too much. Ling's over at this third, preventing it from being able to land this whole time, and Paranoid from here needs to fall back, but he's done pretty good damage, Tim.
Paranoid's done a good job of never really engaging with his Ultralisk until he knew he could do some kind of damage. His Lings essentially have just been what he's been wasting, which at this point, being on 5 bases, he can afford to lose out on Lings. And Salvation's just kind of having his units move back and forth, trying to defend at some point. Finally, we're going to get a full-on engagement, but there's not really that many Hellions here on the front. Luckily, it's just Ultralisk here for Paranoid, so that will allow Salvation to back it up. If there were Lings there, I really feel like Salvation would have taken a lot of damage.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the only thing is that Paranoid, he couldn't fight that because the tanks didn't have to siege because there were not Lings. But now with Ling reinforcements and 64 more on the way with +3 carapace, these Ultralisks are just taking so long to die. Yes, they eventually will, but now those Lings we were talking about are streaming in across the map, and Salvation, guys, is going to get mopped up, and he is just in a really difficult spot now because, I mean, Paranoid, you know, he's still got this base down here in the bottom right. His mining's fantastic, and Salvation, he's really got nowhere left to turn for Salvation. There it is, GG.
Nice play by Paranoid, man. The reinforcements were pretty darn stellar. I mean, he did a good job of never really engaging that mech army, forcing it to move in different locations. I really kind of question the position for Salvation to move his 4th command center up to the top left corner. I really feel like in the bottom right corner, he would have been a little bit better.
It's way more standard,
yeah. He could have walled off, and then, of course, he could have his mech army around that area and maneuver it a little bit better. But having it up in the top left corner really allowed for Paranoid to make that play that he did.
Yeah, you got to wonder if he was trying to sneak away with that expansion, you know, because, I mean, with mech, you want the points that you have to defend to be as close as possible.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if your 4th is down there on the right, as you were saying, and excuse me, and you're defending at the natural, it's a lot closer than, hey, I'm defending way over past my natural and at my 3rd. So rough game there for Salvation to kick it off for NSHOseo, but well played out of Paranoid.
Yeah, Paranoid showing up, man, for Acer. Can he keep it alive here? Maybe do an all-kill or some sort. I haven't seen an all-kill in a while. That'd be really cool to see. Who do we have coming out for game number 2?
Looks like NSHOseo, or excuse me, we have a list that is potential. We never know how far it's actually going to make. If you guys didn't see the game that we actually accidentally spoiled ourselves on. But, guys, Ellen Key is actually coming out now for NSHOseo.
Cool.
And we'll see what they can do with that.
Alrighty, guys. Go ahead and run to a commercial break, and we'll be right back.